Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Leah, and I am joined by Bonnie and Katie and Jen, and we are talking about our one cool science gal. So Bonnie already talked about Rosalind Franklin, and Katie already talked about Elizabeth Garnet Anderson. Garnet?
Garrett.
Elizabeth Garrett Anderson. Before we dive back in, I'm going to ask a random question of you all. I wanted to know, what do you think the next big discovery in science will be? And I didn't give you any time to prepare. At all. So this is like, just tell me what you see. Just gut reaction. Rorschach test.
I'm very excited about
Yes?
the new telescope.
The new
The
telescope.
James
That is
Webb
true.
telescope.
Yes.
Very excited.
Has it launched
It's
yet?
launched.
Okay, all right. We
It's
just haven't got
there.
images yet, right?
It's opened up its reflective
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
I need to look into why they're gold. I'm like, why are they
Yes.
gold? I gotta
Right.
look at, like, there's gotta be a reason why they're gold.
Right.
So they're open. I think they're in the process of making sure they're all aligned.
Configured.
properly.
Yes. Right. Oh, that's
It's
true.
very exciting.
The telescope is going to be amazing. Yeah, I love that idea.
Because, I mean, who doesn't love space?
I know.
It's like
Space is
dinosaurs.
amazing. It is.
Everybody loves dinosaurs.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. What do you guys think the next big science discovery will be? Da, 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 da. Katie's like, please don't make
Okay.
direct eye contact with me.
Oh no!
I hope they find it. Being able to really farm in space or farm in
Ooh.
the foreign soil.
Right.
You know, the
right.
Mars soil or the not the moon soil, but
Yeah.
finding some sort of nutrients within, or being able to use it or add it or something. I think
Right.
that'd be fantastic if we had farms on Mars.
Farms on Mars. I do love
because
the
they have
idea
to be
of it.
self-productive. Because
Exactly.
we
Can you
can't
guys
even
all
feed the
still hear,
people
by the
here.
way?
I can.
Did it go away again? Or is it still there?
I think it's louder
back
than
in-
it was
it's
before.
a lot louder now.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, somehow it got louder.
Nope.
Jiggle the cords.
Okay.
Get
Ah, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me just scream into it, and then it'll be even better. Okay.
I know what I hope is the next big
Yes.
science discovery.
Yeah.
Something that can handle climate change.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, something that could
Productive.
Yeah.
save planet Earth.
But all
Right.
of a sudden now I see like Star Trek, you know, the oxygen makers or
Right,
you know, the
yes.
oxygen machines to be able to do the CO2, you know, work
Right.
with, or you know, deal with that and still be able to have oxygen, or I don't know.
It would be amazing.
I mean, it'd be best if everybody could just quit destroying the planet.
That's what
and
I'm
we could,
thinking.
you know, pass
Hey.
some
That. But that's not...
Bill's laws,
Stop it.
like
the money.
be a little proactive. It's right.
Right, exactly.
Some- maybe we could just put some money into the science of figuring that shit out. If
I know,
that's-
of like saving the planet for people
What
and
if they
stuff.
figured it out.
That's
no
true.
one wants to do
It's
it.
the
That's true.
implementing it, the doing it.
So instead of like doing anything about it, people just want to, you know, spend money making stupid stickers to put on gas pumps because that's totally helping the situation.
Isn't it though? No. I'd have to go for mine. I love the idea of saving the planet. Yes, totally down with that. My secondary
We should do that.
World peace.
would be kind of brain science. I would love to see new innovations in brain science. I think that we have come a long way. We have mapped far more than 10% of the brain, which is always an urban myth. But I think understanding why we do things and how we do things will maybe convince the idiots that it's time for climate change. You know what I mean? Like rewiring our brains and stuff. And that actually does link into my people. I know. I'm actually talking about two people. Because have y'all ever taken a personality test before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Love it.
Have any of you taken the Myers-Briggs, the one with the
Mhm.
INFJ?
ENTP.
You know what yours is?
ENTP.
ENTP. Katie, do you know what yours is?
I kind of do. I know I'm an I.
Yes.
I think I'm an N.
Yeah.
I know I'm judging, so I'm always offended by that one. I'm like, what?
Right. Okay. Then the next one. Yes. Right. The next one is, oh my gosh, Feeling or thinking, so an F or a T.
I think it's T.
You get to just pick this at
Yeah.
this point. And then judging or perceiving.
Oh, it's the judging.
Oh, judging.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's
There
the
you
one
go.
I'm always
I'm
offended
so
about.
judging.
'Cause
Right.
I'm like, I'm not judging. But I know.
You
Right.
just take a different approach. than me.
Yes, exactly. Do you know it? Have you ever taken one of the?
I haven't taken. I know it's because there's 16 different.
Yeah, the 16
things.
personality
I don't
types.
know what- I think I like
Or
I picked,
combos is
like,
what it
some
is,
kind
yeah.
of weird offshoot one. I was like, this. Does
There's
not
also
seem
the big
legit.
five.
I
Yes.
was like, this doesn't seem legit, and I have no idea what it was. And I was like,
Oh. There's a couple of different ones, but the other major, I guess, competitor to the Myers-Briggs is the Big Five, which basically does the same thing with different words. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Did you ever think it was designed by two men, Myers and Briggs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's designed by a mother and daughter.
nice.
Yeah.
I had
so,
no idea.
right.
I assumed because
So-
everything we learned about in psychology was
Right.
attributed to men.
It had to be the psychology of men. Well, that's what I'm going to tell you about today. I'm going to tell you about Myers and Briggs, the mother and daughter. So, Catherine Briggs was born in Michigan. Let's give her,
Moment of silence.
moment of appreciation for surviving Michigan. But she was born in Michigan in 1875. Her parents both went to college, as did she.
Nice.
After college, she got married and gave birth to 3 children, but only one of them survived.
No.
Yes, exactly. The 2 of them died in infancy. The child who survived was Isabel. So Catherine obsesses over her only daughter, like to a point of clinical not goodness. Okay. She talks about how she changed her living room to be, quote, a cosmic laboratory for baby training.
Oh my.
This baby is a miracle baby and is going to be the best baby in the whole world. And I'm going to study her and learn why she lived. So I think that Catherine was probably working through some postpartum, right?
Yeah.
And also some grief over her other children. But then again, I wasn't there. I've just been reading a lot of psychology books lately, so I'm just kind of putting an inference on there. But after having, 18 years of every moment of your life watched and studied by your mother, by 1917, Mama Catherine had started developing 4 different types of personality by watching her daughter. Now, these are the first
But it was
ones.
just based on all of her different personalities.
No, that
Mommy
would be great.
dearest.
That's how we get to 16. No, I'm just kidding. No, the 4 types she had at first were meditative, spontaneous, executive, and sociable. Those were the first 4 that she had. But then her daughter went off to college. And guess what happened to her? Mental breakdown.
Wait,
She
thought it already started.
right. No, it was clearly in the works. So she has a breakdown because her whole world was her daughter. In 1923, she reads Carl Jung's book, The Psychology of Types, which I have this book and I put it away to bring it here and I forgot. But Psychology of Types. Catherine reads this and becomes fully obsessed now with Carl Jung. She even writes erotic fiction about him. Catherine gets
Okey-dokey.
obsessed about things. Anyway, she is really determined to bring Carl Jung's ideas to America. So I watched a CNN documentary. It's actually on HBO Max, and it's called Persona: The Dark Truths Behind Personality Tests.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. Is
Okay.
very good.
Okay,
it's
okay,
really,
okay.
really good.
Persona. Got it.
So they described Mama Catherine as being more spiritual, trying to understand the world around her, and her daughter Isabel as more business-minded. So if this helps, Catherine is more hot for teacher, and Isabel is like, yeah, I know my mom's got issues, but I think I can make a buck here. Okay. So that's the dynamic that we have going on in the Myers-Briggs. Now, Isabel loved being away from her mother and all of the research on her. She got married in 1918 to Clarence Myers. And then she kind of failed at being a mystery writer. She kind of tanked it. Her second book was pretty racist. I'm not going to hide from it. It was called Give Me Death. It was following a detective investigating a series of suicides of a family who believed they had 1 drop of African-American blood in their system.
Ooh.
It is freaking terrible, right? So after
Yikes.
Isabella's writing career is over, like it's done, World War II is starting, okay? And mother and daughter decide...
And they decide to reprint it. And
No.
Hitler bought it for everybody in his army.
I think they buried it deep
Okay.
down. The documentary found it, and it was really trying to be shoved away, you know? But so the mother and daughter decided they wanted to rethink this profiles thing. And they started looking at how people interacted with the world. So the documentary talks about how they thought there was going to be this workplace shortage because of the war. All of the men were going to go off to work. The ladies would fill the factories. But then when all of the men came back, what were they going to do with finding, you know, what workers to do? So in the documentary, it says, quote, and this is Catherine saying this, if men could have a number on them like shoes, then workplaces could avoid a painful fit. So this is about putting a number, an INFJ, an ENTP, on people so that you know whether or not they would fit for the job.
It's just crazy.
Isn't it, though? So Catherine really wanted to help alleviate the pains of, quote, a bad fit. That was her intention behind this. So the 4 types that they decided on, and using a lot of Carl Jung's archetypes, were the first one is either introverted or extroverted,
Mhm.
and then it's intuitive or sensing, feeling or thinking, judging or perceiving. And it's all about the different combinations you get of these different ones. And the test can vary, but generally it's about like 150 to 200 questions. And the most famous one is if you're at a dinner party, you know what I mean? And it's your friends and it's 2 hours at the end of the evening. Are you drained or are you active? You know what I mean? And that's the introvert extrovert kind of example. So Myers-Briggs sold booklets and forms on their little personality test. At the end of the war, they sold a lot of them to the OSS, which is what became the CIA. And they used the test to find new intelligence officers in Europe, deciding if they were a good fit. Like a shoebox. Anyway, in the 1950s, the mother and daughter sold to major companies like Standard Oil, General Electric, and they started using it on their employees.
Like they read a few books and then they just made this up. There's like not been any kind of like
There's no science.
testing
I shouldn't
or
say. I'm like covering this as science, ladies. There's been no peer-reviewed
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
documentation.
This gives me a whole new direction for my life.
Yes, doesn't it? It's kind of cultish. But they also, hospitals came to them and asked if they could do the personality test on their nurses to make sure their nurses were the type that would give the best kind of care to their patients. And then also in the 1980s, my dad made me take one because he wanted to find out how much like him I was. And when I wasn't like him, anyway. So now Isabel said she would not test anyone with an IQ less than 100 because she thinks they wouldn't have cognitive abilities to understand any differences in their personality.
Oh my gosh.
Gets worse. So she had a different test for women than men because women needed a scaling difference on feeling versus thinking because they had more emotions. So for those that are following along at home, we have traces of bias that are racist, ableist, classist, and sexist that are in this test, right?
And my first time taking it was in a college psychology class.
Amazing, right? And did they bring up any of this?
Oh no.
Oh, none of the
I thought it was
seed work.
2 dudes that wrote it.
Of course.
In a very
Of
medical
course,
setting because
a
it's
very
pure
medical setting.
science.
It was the Cosmos Laboratory of the living room. So if you are taking the Myers-Briggs test, I will say, if you're treating it as like a Cosmo quiz and you're taking it for yourself, right? Sure, it's fun. You can connect with aspects of yourself that maybe you didn't know you had, or like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot I have that. I should lean into that. Whatever. It's really fun. You do you. The 16 personality test, though, I will say also to not have it be too much of a Debbie Downer, I did find a really nice connection between me and my husband when I forced him to do this test as well, right? Thanks. So I'll share it just because that's a loose end to say I really had this fabulous connection with my husband over 16 personality tests, and then I don't share it. So I trust everybody to like a fault. Like, I think there's goodness in everybody. Nobody's trying to do me wrong. And I usually get screwed over and hurt necessarily in that process. Where my husband sees everybody as untrustworthy and everybody's out to hurt him. And so he's always got his defenses on. So when I took this test, I saw he wanted to be a little bit more like me and trust people a little bit more. And I wanted to be a little bit more like him and not
Protect
trust as
yourself
many
a little
people.
bit.
So it was really nice that we kind of neutralized each other and kind of balanced each other right. So that's really cute, right? So that's why we kind of take these stupid tests, because we can find those little elements. This test has been around since 1943. Honestly, it hasn't changed much since 1943. It's a lot of it is still kind of the same base questions because it's
hoping they don't have a women's version anymore, though.
I know, right?
Oh, really?
It's still the strongly agree, disagree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
the
algorithm
scale.
could change, but the questions and the output is still the same. But they're cute because they make you feel seen and they make you have a connection, and they also make you feel like a unique and delicate flower when really they're putting you in boxes. But anyway, all right. So these personality tests have become so used by companies that they are now a pre-screening tool for hiring people. Yes. So nearly 70 to 90 million applications go through one company, Unicrew, a year of personality profile tests that they make people hire when they do an application. This isn't even you have the job, take a personality test. This is you want to apply to us, you have to take this personality test first, right? So this is now damaging people's lives, and it's damn near criminal of what they're doing. By using these tests, they are weeding out mental illness. They're also weeding out introverts. Because extroverts score higher on the algorithm. They're also taking out rebels, which is me, where I'd be like, I ain't taking your test. But they are creating an underclass of permanently unemployable people because they can't pass a personality test to the satisfaction of an employer. Right? So this starts to have a very eugenics feel about it. It's all about weeding out of who gets to exist, who gets to have a job based on this little test. So in the documentary, the current Myers-Briggs Corporation, because it still exists as a corporation, says that it doesn't sell any of their tests to companies. The thing is, it's in public domain, and they never registered the letters. So anybody can do any kind of Myers-Briggs and say it's based upon and still keep doing this. And other companies can say it's a personality test. You know what I mean? But yeah, just because it's not Myers-Briggs doesn't mean you can't give somebody a Myers-Briggs test for employment.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Doesn't sound like anything's backing up Myers-Briggs either. So
Right, exactly.
What's
Yes.
the damn difference?
They're not going out for it. So now the grandchildren of Isabel Myers said that if her grandmother was still alive today, she would fix this. She died in 1980. She had plenty of time. From the 50s to the 80s when they were selling it to Big Oil and McDonald's and GE.
So did they have two houses?
Right. I'll bet you they did. But the fact is, this test was put on the market in 1943, and it was sold to companies for employee retention and to decide who gets promotions. It's the same test it's always been. It is very much loaded to clone the white male managerial type of person, the extrovert, the, you know what I mean, the judging and thinking. That's what's, built into the system. So now I don't fault these ladies for making this test. I really don't. I empathize that Catherine took home mama bear energy and obsessed about her miracle baby. Like, I get that. I also get that Isabel wanted to make a buck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's just a piece of paper. It's a form. It's a Cosmo quiz. It's fun. Whatever. I think the intentions to help people were there most of the time. Helping employers figuring out what shoebox to label men. But I also think that they had a bias. And the real problem is that bias is still in the test.
Yes.
And we're pretending that bias isn't in the test is the problem. But here's what's really scares me. And this is why I'm like the monster for bringing this up on the science episode. But I come to the end of my research and I'm thinking about these personality tests and how they're everywhere. Remember when we used to take BuzzFeed quizzes all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so Facebook knew what ads to sell us. Okay. That's what that was all about. But I kept thinking about we now have a generation that has spent their entire life online.
Yeah.
So even if they never took a Myers-Briggs test, we now, unfortunately, through AI, have so much information built up about their profiles that they could still be put into a box of employable, non-employable, promotable, not promotable, just from the little breadcrumbs that we have on the computers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like this little thing that Myers-Briggs started is freaking out there already. And we're lucky that it's only like half of our lives have been, online and stuff like that. But kids now, I mean, it even comes down
youth to be online.
Right.
Ugh.
It'll come down to maybe what school grants they get or, you know what I mean, scholarships or who knows what. It's just if it's put in the wrong hands of this information that is being collected because we don't know what to do with it just yet, it's out there. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm sure everybody's really freaked out right now about the internet and Myers-Briggs. By the way, I'm an INFJ. I am the 1%.
Of course you
Makes
are.
me a shiny little unicorn of damaging behaviors. But yeah, right? Myers-Briggs.
So you said there's a company, not like their company, but some other company. I'm like, so like they're
Unicrew?
making-
Yeah.
The one before that,
Big Five?
I don't know.
Okay, yes.
You say there's a company. I'm like, so they're making money if it's a company,
Right. There's the Myers-Briggs Corporation.
Oh.
I don't know really if they're not selling the test, what are they doing?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's books about the assessment of it. I don't know if it's research and
or-
personality types. I really don't know what the
'Cause I'm
corporation
assuming
does
they're not
now.
charging for the actual test.
Because they can. It's in public domain. I mean, they could try. I know there's books about it and there's classes about it, but I don't know if that's really what they're doing. But they say they're not selling personality tests to employers for hiring, screening, or promotional things. Then again, it's a documentary. They could have said that and be like, yeah, but tomorrow we're starting it.
What a
Or
great idea.
we just are also in bed with other companies, you know what I mean, under other subsidiaries, and we take some funneling money from them.
Do we know what scores the ladies got?
I'll bet you we do. I didn't write down what theirs were though.
Oh.
But I'll bet you they took it, and I know there was they were on TV quite a few times too. And so they probably I have it mentioned in there of what their personality was. I will put it in the show notes. How about that?
Ooh, okay.
Because to see what Mama did and
Yeah.
what Sista did
Mhm.
is quite interesting. But yeah, and I'm going to be on the lookout for her book. Because that's some tragic racist crap.
Can you also look for the Carl Jung erotica?
Oh yeah, I'll look for that.
Okay.
I'll bet you that was like a magazine contest.
Okay.
Might be a private
gonna
drawer of some kind.
Need a copy of that too.
I will also see.
I like some good.
good Carl Jung.
Fanfic.
He's a
Yeah.
looker, that Carl Jung. Did you look him up of how hot he is?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Isn't he the bald guy?
No, he's
Oh,
not Freud.
not?
No, he
Freud
actually
was
has
the
hair.
bald guy?
That's Freud with the
Oh.
beer mustache.
No, I
beer
think he was
mustache skinny
bald,
guy?
bald.
Carl Jung
Okay.
is kind of like a he's a roundish man. He's just one big round guy with white hair, very thick German accent.
Hot.
Yes. Did you find him?
Yeah.
I love your face when, oh God. Oh no, you can't unsee
I mean,
that. You see it, right? That's hot. I will also put in the show notes a picture of Carl Jung.
Oh goodness.
I think
I
we've all
mean,
learned something
this
here
is the
today.
Carl Jung.
A scrapbook page of her with him with a heart around
That's a
it.
little baldy. I mean, when he's gotten older.
Oh yes, okay, that's right. You're right. Okay.
I mean, he's not like bald. He's got like the side.
Yes,
Shit,
he's
the
got
wreath.
my grandpa's widow peak. Yes.
Depends what age Carl Jung you look at.
They're all old. I mean, he didn't come out with this stuff.
Are you
He
kidding?
was born old.
Look
He's
at that.
Okay.
Sexy
Benjamin
dark
Button.
brows
That
with
is-
tiny
He
glasses.
didn't know shit at that
That's-
age.
He looks
Sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
German?
Definitely Slytherin.
Slytherin.
It's totally fair. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm so glad we've come back to Carl. But any other questions about the Myers-Briggs ladies
Well,
before I wrap her up?
do you know if there was any influence onto the anagram numbers then? Because now any type of personality letter or number
Right.
that I've even tried to look at, I'm questioning.
Right, exactly. No.
No, you don't know, or no, there's no.
There's probably a connection because it's going to be Carl Jung had 9 types.
Right.
Was it 9 types or was it 12 types now that I'm thinking about it? There's 9 volumes, but then one of the books that I have has 3 different types in it. Anyway, he has where it's like mother, trickster, rebel,
Entertainer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So he had those different types. And so they took from him, but then they also took from their kind of awareness and their black and white, honestly, of looking, well, you got to be introvert or you got to be extrovert. You can't be both. Whatever. But those letters are very commonly then translated to any other test under the same name.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And none of it's copyrighted or protected or anything like that. So... Yeah, because there's even new ones that are like the 4 letters of the Myers-Briggs plus an extra letter.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah,
and I think
there's that one. Yeah,
I was like equal or something.
Right.
There's no like.
Yeah, it's like a dash or a slash, and then there's an extra letter in there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's just adding on to racism. I mean, it's just adding on to things. But again, you take it for fun with a bunch of drunk girlfriends. And woohoo, isn't this great? Oh my gosh, I'm going to marry Johnny Depp. Like, sorry, probably a bad reference right now. He's in divorce court crying for his life.
Lord of mercy. Yeah.
But when I was in the 1980s, that was who you were going to marry.
Right.
All right. Well, I will wrap her up. Hold on a second. I have to find the page, though.
I feel like every time I've taken a test like that,
Yeah.
I've like hated like the whole experience, and then when I get to the end, I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yes, it is.
It's like with like horoscope stuff. Like as much as I'm like, it's just a bunch of hooey. Like I am such a fucking Virgo. Like.
Right.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
Like
You're like, damn it,
lamest-
it's right.
the lamest freaking zodiac too. It's like we're gonna organize your shit.
Oh, Jonah's a Virgo too, and he's such a Virgo.
Oh, so lame.
See, look at that. Well, on that note, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week for another cool woman in history as the Gals Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening. For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.